The other day I read the blurb for my new novel, Izzie Firecracker and the Last of the Family Diamonds, and promised the first chapter. So without further ado, here's the first chapter, or at least the first half of it. Let's see how we go. Okay, it all begins in May 1996. Martha. Martha is languishing in a cedarwood hot tub, caressed by warm, soothing water. She's with her hunky husband, Randy, who wears only a Stetson and seductive grin. They're relaxing after a long, enjoyable day training horses. And now here you have to excuse my American accent, that's not in the book. Working the ranch is sure one hell of a way to make money, says Randy in a gravel drawl. I'd hate to work in an office. He pours flutes of ice-cold Dom Perignon and hands one to his wife. Happy birthday, darling. Smiling into Randy's cognac-coloured eyes, Martha takes a sip of bubbly and immediately spits out the nasty-tasting liquid. Not champagne, but a mug of milky, weak and tepid tea. And she's not in a hot tub in Texas, but an avocado-coloured bath at home in Sussex, dreading another monotonous day. Martha's staid and portly husband, James Hoare, not the honed, long-limbed Randy of her daydreams, comes into the bathroom wearing fetching saggy Y-fronts with a string vest and heads to the mirror to trim errant nostril hairs. I know it's your birthday, that's why I made you a cuppa as a treat and let you have a half-hour lie-in, but get a move on. I need you in the office by 9 o'clock, don't be tardy. James isn't wearing a Stetson. The idea is laughable. A 10-gallon hat would look daft with his pinstriped suit. He finishes the nasal excavations, then struts from the room on short chubby legs, saying, "Try to look presentable today. I wish you made more of an effort." Martha sticks out her tongue, visualising him in a pair of chaps as silent revenge. Not a good look. The idea makes her giggle, offsetting her annoyance a tad. Emerging from the bath, she feels rebellious. Damn it! She will lie in the watery cocoon for another 5 minutes. After adding more hot water, she rests back, closes her eyes, and returns to the hot tub and sizzling man. Randy's foot strokes her inner thigh, gradually moving higher. Burning lust overwhelms her. He draws nearer, skin to skin, the scent of earthy maleness driving her wild with desire. He whispers, "Some ranch hands are hovering, so I can't ravish you right now, but we'll make up for it later." I don't know if I can wait. She yearns for his passionate, sweet-scented kisses. Urgent with need, she reaches for his hard. "Get out of that bath now! And you look flushed. You must have the water too hot." Martha didn't hear James, now clad in a tight pinstripe suit, sneak into the room. He stomps out again, yelling, "I'm going on ahead. See you at the office. Get a bally move on." Reluctantly reaching for a towel, she sings, "Happy bloody birthday to me." Minutes later, she yanks on the usual hateful uniform of shapeless tweed skirt, blouse and cardigan before applying a quick slick of peon pink lipstick onto her full mouth. It's impossible to look presentable with the horrid clothes chosen by James. The irony makes her mad. She considers spraying a touch of her favourite perfume, L'Amour, to lift her spirits, but James complains it smells like a tart's boudoir. Most men would approve, but her husband is dull. Her entire life is staid and boring. She settles for a dab of the lavender oil, which has the horse stamp of approval. "If it was good enough for my mother, it's good enough for you. I won't have my wife smelling like a slut." But you hated your mum. That's not the point. At least mother didn't smell like a loose woman. Martha should be having more fun, with spare funds for fripperies and less time spent at work. They make plenty of money, but nearly every penny goes back into their estate agency business, or so James says. Any spare cash Martha has supports their son Simon's lazy lifestyle. James won't accept that only child has a problem. Oh no, Simon is a paragon. James hasn't realised that every time the offspring visits his beloved grandma in Los Angeles, he is a paying guest at the Dry-Out Spa in Palm Springs. He's been twice in the last year, with Martha's mum insisting on footing the hefty bills, thank God. Soon Martha is downstairs brewing her first coffee of the day after pouring away the hideous tea. After all these years, James still can't make a cup of the way she enjoys it, sweet and strong. The doorbell rings. It must be Doris, the Daily, back after a few weeks' holiday, visiting her sister in Cleethorpes. Much to Martha's surprise, Doris metamorphosed from dreary and downtrodden to radiant and confident recently. I must ask what her secret is, mulls Martha, opening the door. A drunken Simon falls through it and throws up on the Chinese rug. What a stink! How did I get into this mess? She mutters. The downhill slide began when Martha was working in Weatherby's, an art auction house in Knightsbridge. It was her first job since leaving finishing school, Le Manoir, nicknamed Manners Manor in Switzerland. She still recalls the shock on her mother's face when she landed home a year later and 15 pounds heavier than when she left. "Oh no, darling, it simply won't do. You're going on a diet." The delicious Swiss chocolates were impossible to resist, and the heavenly pastries with coffee for breakfast were a delightful contrast from the unappetising Spartan regime in her Scottish boarding school, Grimstone Academy for Girls. Martha shudders whenever she remembers the hideous grey and lumpy porridge that heralded the start of the school day. The young James bewitched Martha when he first popped into the auction house over 20 years ago, interested in a painting. He was slim back then, his pinstripe suit falling elegantly rather than straining over a pot belly. And his hair was thick and dark, not grey and sparse. None of this would matter if James was still kind to her. But he is awful most of the time, and his sense of humour, one of the things that drew her to him, has absconded without a trace. James asked her out for dinner straight away, and they enjoyed a delightful evening at the Holly in Covent Garden. He wanted to celebrate finding the girl of his dreams and said he couldn't believe it when he came into Weatherby's and spotted his perfect woman, who reminded him of a young Kate Hepburn. Martha adored her in Holiday, in which she played the eccentric rich girl Linda Seaton, who elopes with Johnny Case, played by Cary Grant, to escape her stuffy life in a Park Avenue mansion. Martha wishes she could run away from her stifling life with James. Excuse me, time for a sip of tea. Tea break. The first weeks after they met were a whirlwind of fun and romance. For once, Martha's experience was real, not an image on a screen or nestled within the pages of a book. She thought she might explode with happiness when James phoned her at home on a Thursday evening. "I'm taking you to Paris this weekend. Pack a case and bring your passport, a posh frock and some sexy lingerie. I'll meet you after work tomorrow afternoon and we'll go straight to the airport." Martha was in a dreamy daze as she packed her little blue antler suitcase, and like a sleepwalker as she boarded the plane. Was this it? Was he taking her to the city of lovers to propose? She barely dared hope. "Tell me where we're staying," she pleaded, amber eyes alight with anticipation as they drank white wine and munched peanuts during the flight. "No, I'm not spoiling the surprise. Be patient, Martha dearest." When the taxi pulled up at L'Hôtel Riche on Avenue Georges V, Martha gasped. Such decadence! And things became even better. A few hours later, she found herself seated opposite James in Le Restaurant Poche Noche on the Champs-Élysées, enjoying pink champagne from delicate flutes. James left his chair, and Martha thought he was off to the loo, but he got down on one knee, took a small box out of his pocket and opened it with a flourish. "My darling Martha, I want you to become a whore." The idea was outrageous. What a goddamn nerve! He wanted her to be his mistress, French style. Where was the respect? Then she remembered his surname. Yes, I'd love to be a whore. He wanted to marry her. Hooray! "I thought we'd get away from riff-raff this weekend," said a snooty middle-aged Englishwoman on the next table, to her uptight-looking partner. Martha and James were in convulsions of mirth as they ordered crepe Suzette for pudding. As they were having coffee, a man came into the restaurant selling red roses. James bought one for Martha, for my ravishing future wife. She still has the flower pressed in a scrapbook, its heady scent long disappeared, along with the joy of James. They were in their 20s when they married, with 3 years to go until Martha came into a large